This is the web application exercise in JavaScript. I have the project open in Visual Studio Code along with the README file. We are going to be using Vue, V-U-E, or Vue.js today as a part of this exercise. There are a few web frameworks out in the wild for developing web applications using JavaScript. Note that this is a client-side library. This is not a server-side, which means it's going to execute basically on the user's browser rather than on a web server somewhere. So this is a little bit different than the other languages that we're going to be using. And this is largely because when we're dealing with web applications in the JavaScript world, we're generally dealing with the web application front end. And these are the main ways that people develop web applications these days. We don't typically use Java, C#, and Python for building a web app. We'll do that as a web service, but usually the front end is built in something like Vue, Angular, or React. So this is a Vue application. We can see the project structure. There's a lot of files over here going on as a part of this application. And we're going to dive into a couple of these here in just a little bit. So to get started, this is it is an npm project, so I do need to run npm-i to install everything. Now this will take a moment or two on your computer. It may take a little bit longer. It has to go and download all of the npm files for Vue. Once it gets them to the computer, it has to install them. It puts them into a node modules folder. You can see that here. So it's doing a lot of work to install everything that we need. So while it's doing that, let's talk through what we need to do. We need to implement the use case, and this is the standard use case we're doing as part of this exercise. Given the user navigates to the home page, when the user enters text into a form, so it's some sort of text box probably, so whatever that form field is, we're going to enter text into a form and submit it. Then the system will display the reverse of the text that was entered. So very, very straightforward, very similar to how we're doing this in other exercises. We'll start by running the tests. In order to run the test, we'll first need to run npm run serve. This is going to run the web application locally, and we'll see what this looks like. Then we're going to run npx Cypress open. So Cypress is an end-to-end testing framework, and it's used to basically test the application through a browser. This is very different from the other testing that we've done as a part of any of the other exercises. So I'll spend a little time talking through that here in a moment. Our test is in the homepage.cy.js file. That's in the Cypress folder up here because, again, we're using Cypress to run the tests. So let's look and see what's going on with the Cypress test. Oh, well, we did actually get the project built, so let's go ahead and move into that. So before we get to the test. So let's go ahead and run npm run serve. This is going to compile everything, make sure that everything is built. It's not going to do full optimization, but it will optimize a few things. And then it's going to load it so that we can see our website in a browser. Now this is largely just an out-of-the-box Vue application. So this isn't, I haven't done a lot of work to create this website. This is basically a get started with Vue project. 10%. You can do it. You got this. 24%. You got this. All right. There we go. So you'll notice that once it pops up, I'm going to have this link here to say your local link is localhost:8080. So I can use control. If I hold control and click this link, it will open it up in a browser window. So let me drag that over. Here is the website. Very, very bright. But this is basically our Vue application. This is the content that got created as a part of Vue. So I'm going to close the browser. This is still running. So to run the Cypress server, I need to keep this running and open up a new, basically a new terminal window. The easiest way to do that is you can see on this toolbar in the top right of the terminal, there's this split terminal. It's Control-Shift-5, it looks like, for splitting it. Or I can hit this button here that looks like two columns. This is going to open up a second terminal just to the right of it while it keeps the first one running. So here we'll run npx Cypress open. And if this is the first time you've run it, you're going to see some things like, hey, do you want to allow the network? I'll say allow or yes. This will open up the Cypress window here. I'll just say continue. And then here we'll see that we've got EDE testing or end-to-end testing and component testing. The EDE testing is configured. I have set that up. So we're going to go ahead and click on EDE testing. Then it's going to ask which browser would I like to use. This is going to be a list of the browsers you have on your computer. Electron is always available. Electron ships with it kind of ships with Node, but it ships with Cypress. So it's a lightweight browser. You're welcome to use that. It generally runs a little bit faster than Chrome, Edge, or Firefox. Otherwise, you can use whichever browser you'd like. I tend to be a Microsoft guy, so I tend to use Chrome, or Edge rather. Chrome is a great browser. It really doesn't matter for what we're doing. I'll click Start EDE Testing at Edge. Now it's going to go to localhost 8080, and it's going to say, here are the spec files or the test files that I found. The one we're looking for is homepage.cy.js. I'll click on this, and on the left, it will actually run through the test as it goes. Now, this is going to fail. The reason it's going to fail is it says I'm looking to try to get something with the class name of text-input. So we're in the web world. The period for the selector says a class name. This is not the same as a class in object-oriented programming. A class in the web world is a CSS selector, a cascading style sheet selector. So this is basically something, we'll show what this looks like in a minute. It's looking for something with the class name of text-input, and it did not find it. And that's because we haven't done any work to make this pass. So as typical, I've given you a test that will fail. So I'm going to leave this up and running because what we can do is refresh this window from time to time as we make progress. So let's navigate in now. I'm going to lower this just a little bit to give us some more room in our main window. So our goal is to make the homepage test pass. So let's look at the homepage. It's under Cypress EDE homepage.cy.js. And here's our test. So this is using Cypress. Cypress always has a CY object that is the Cypress object. And we use that to basically navigate. Think of the CY object as the browser. So we're going to say cy.visit. This is going to visit the homepage, the /. The / representing the root URL. It doesn't matter the domain. In our case, it's localhost 8080, but the domain is irrelevant usually for pathing, for relative and absolute paths. So this is going to say go to the root of the domain. And so that's what the / does. And then it says nothing afterwards. So it says whatever the root default page is, which is normally your home page or your index page. So this visits the home page. This is going to navigate in the browser to the home page. Then we're going to go to Cypress and say on the page, get the element that has a class name. So the period is a class name, the class name of text-input. Find that and then type the word testing with a delay of 100 milliseconds between each. So we're going to actually be able to see this type out as a part of the test itself. So once we find this text input, we will see it type it out. Then we're going to get something with the class name of submit-action. And we're going to click on that. So that's probably going to be our button or our link. Then finally, we'll get something with the class name of reversed-text. And that should have the text of testing in reverse. So fairly straightforward to read, very similar to the other web applications and how we're doing things. What's different is this is in Vue and Cypress rather than the other web frameworks and testing frameworks. So our problem right now is this text-input does not exist. So let's navigate into source. Let's find out how this application is working. If I open app.vue, we'll notice that our template up here, the template is the HTML. So in Vue, your HTML, your CSS, and your JavaScript are all in one file. The template is your HTML. So this is the actual HTML view of what we have. The script is your JavaScript. So this is the logic or behavior. And your style is your style. So it's what's defining whether text is centered, what the color is for things, margins, what the font is, all those different kinds of things for the look and feel of this particular page or this particular file or application. So in our HTML, we've got an image tag. And we saw that image tag, right? That's this big Vue image. And then it's pulling in the hello world component. The hello world component, we'll notice on line 7, is coming from the components folder in the hello world.vue file. So open up components, there's hello world.vue. This is the template that is rendering for everything else. So you'll see there's an H1 with a message, the message being hello world. Oh no, the message is passed in from app. So the message is welcome to your Vue.js app. And there's the welcome to your Vue.js app. So everything's connected and we can see how all of this works. Let's do a real quick test. So in the app.vue, let's change this to welcome to Chad's awesome app. So let's save this. It refreshes everything. If I go to the browser now, you'll notice the test reruns and it's now welcome to your Chad's awesome app. Let's just say Chad's awesome app. And there it is. So everything is working. We're finding where things are laid out. The hello world is the rest of this content. So there's a few different ways you can do this. I'm going to simply add the form element here inside the hello world component, right under the H1. So I'll do this here and I'm going to create a div to contain the form just so everything is nice and neat in one place. And the first thing I need to do is create my text input. So let's do an input element with a type equals text. So this is a text box. And then I need to give it a class. So class, this is going to be, and I'm going to pull this from the test, this is going to be text-input, no period. The period just says it should be a class, but the class itself should just say text-input. And I'm going to close this out, save this, and now when I rerun it, we'll notice, just click this button here, it is now getting the text box, it's typing testing, and now it's looking for the submit action. So I've made progress. I moved forward a little bit with the application. So let's go ahead and navigate back in. So the next thing it wants is the submit button. So I will oblige. So we will grab this and I will just create a button, type equals submit, and we will give it a class, submit action. And let's just give it some text on the inside, submit. So now when I rerun my test, it typed it, it found it, it clicked it, and now it's looking for reverse text. So it's looking for something with the class name of reverse text. So again, let's go back into our test. Let's grab this class name. Now again, I could do all sorts of things. I'm just going to do a, let's just do a p tag. So I'll do a p tag right below it, and we'll say class equals, and this will be the reverse text. So I'll save it again, rerun. All right, now it found it, and it's expecting the text to have testing in reverse. It did not have that. So now I'm ready to wire everything up. So how do we do that? There's, again, a few different ways to do this. I'm going to do this as simply as possible. What we're going to do is, when the button is clicked, I'm going to call a JavaScript function that will reverse the text for us. Now, in order to make this work, we're going to use model binding. We're going to use two-way model binding for one of these and one way for the other. So let's start off with the click event. So in the button, I'm going to add a new attribute, and I'm going to say @click. So this attribute starts with the @ to mean that it's a Vue event. So I'm going to say @click, and we'll just call this on submit. We could even call it reverse text. We could call it perform reverse text. So all sorts of different ways that you can do this depending on what you want to do. I'm just going to do a simple on submit. That will create, so now this is going to look for a function, a JavaScript function called on submit. So I'm going to go down into my script down here, and I'm going to clean this up a little bit just to make this easier. There's a new form of this called setup where we don't need a lot of this code. All right, so I need a function on submit. And now it's trying to help us with some JavaScript. And this could work, but I'm going to do this differently than the AI is going to let us do this. So instead, what we're going to do is I need to get the text. So we'll say const text equals. Now I need to get that. It's trying to help me out, right? It's trying to say, hey, I think you mean this. That's not what we mean. I'm going to use two-way binding in Vue to do this. So in order to do that, I need to import ref from Vue, and it is helping me there, so that's good. Now I like double quotes rather than single quotes. That's just me. And the reason I'd like double quotes is because most programming languages will recognize double quotes as a string. Not every program recognizes double quotes or a single quotes as a string. So I usually use double quotes for strings and single quotes for characters. That way I'm consistent across languages. There are times and places to make that distinction. But in JavaScript, you can use either. Again, this is just me. This is how I like to do it to stay consistent across programming languages. I've gotten used to looking at it this way. So we're going to create a constant, and this is going to be our text. And this is going to equal a ref of empty string. So a ref is an object in Vue that gives us a reference to some value. So this text thing is a ref object. It's a reference object whose value is empty string. Now, in order to populate this, what we're going to need to do is we're going to head back up to our input up here. We're going to say v-model equals text. So this is going to find the text thing, which in our case is a ref. And as this gets typed into, it's going to set the ref. And similar, if there is a value in ref, it's going to display it in the text box. So it's a two-way data binding. So we can use JavaScript to update the text value, or we can use the actual user typing text to update the text value. So this will update the text. The next thing we're going to need is the reverse text. So let's again create reversed text. This will be another ref. And this one, we're not going to use two-way data binding. Up at the top, we're going to use one-way. And all we're going to do here is do double curly braces and reverse text. This will display whatever's in reverse text. This won't update reverse text. We'll have to do that programmatically, but we will display whatever's in reverse text. So now that we have these, I'll just collapse this down so I don't scroll too far. All we need to do is grab the value out and basically reverse it. Now AI here is helping me out. This is exactly what I want, but I'm going to type this so that we can walk through it. So we're going to say the reverse text.value equals, get the text.value, and now we're going to do our reverse. So we'll split on empty string, we'll reverse that array, and then we'll join back on empty string. So that's our text, or our submit function. So that's going to grab the text, reverse it, and then assign it back to reverse text. Let's save this. So a lot going on here. Again, we've got an on submit. We've bound to the text property. We've bound to the reverse text property read only. We've got our constants here from Vue, and we've got our function that does the logic. Let's rerun our test now that we've done all that, and we pass. That's basically the application. While I have everything up and running, let's go ahead and run this in a web browser really fast. So here is the page, and let's just do one more test just to see how this works. Chad's awesome test. There it is in reverse. So that concludes the web application activity in JavaScript.